Women of Reddit, what's your cringy nice guy story? The one that was the most upsetting was a guy who had been my friend for years, who I was close to and confided in, telling me my boyfriend at the time had cheated on me. I wanted to confront the boyfriend and this friend kept dissuading me, telling me to just drop contact with him and trying to comfort me with physical contact. Obviously I still confronted my boyfriend. He said no such thing happened, and it turned out my friend had made it all up. I'm a girl, but this story is about my husband and how he caught the bad end of a nice guy. A few years before I met my husband, he decided to go to a party. He gets there, and some random girl walks up to him, says you're cute and kisses him. This amused him, so he started chatting with her. While chatting, he notices a very angry short man standing next to her. The man is scowling at my husband and it's making him uncomfortable. He can tell the guy is pissed at the attention girl is giving him and it's just not worth it. So he stops talking to random girl, turns away, and starts walking to another room. It's at this point husband feels short man punch him in the back. When he turns around, short man is running away and actually runs out of the house and never returns to the party. Husband laughs it off, cause it wasn't even a hard punch. But then somebody notices husband is bleeding and there is a hole in his shirt. The short hadn't punched him, he stabbed him. Random girl saw this all go down and was pretty mortified. Turns out the short dude was obsessed with her. They were best friends and he accompanied her everywhere. The knife was pretty small, so it didn't do any real damage, but he still has the scar. Edit. Okay, so this blew up while I was sleeping. A lot of people are wondering about what happened, so I finally have a moment to write up the outcome to all this. Somebody did call an ambulance. Ambulance showed up, but my husband refused to go to the hospital. He didn't want to stop partying, nor pay for an ambulance ride, thus it didn't hurt that much, and he felt fine. Instead, him and a friend gauzed it up, and he continued to party. Mind you, in my husband's drunken stupor he is finding this whole thing hilarious. Actually, he still finds it hilarious. When he woke up the next day he was in a bit of pain, and realized he should get it checked out, so he marched down to the hospital, got checked out and fixed up, and went home. At no point did he encounter the police, so he never reported it. We met on OkCupid, and after like 2 weeks decided to go meet. We both weren't into coffee, so we decided to eat a dinner together at his place. We agreed to meet at the mall to buy groceries. He couldn't decide even one thing, but when I would take a certain brand he would mention how his grandmother would take some other. At the end I made him to pick at least one thing, appetizer, thinking of soup or something, so he picked blueberries. I paid. We came to his apartment. He couldn't cook, which I didn't mind, but he didn't even feel like helping. While I was making the sauce he mentioned things like that I'm not intelligent enough because I suck at math and wasn't interested in it when he was reading his math book to me for 5-10 minutes, that it annoys him me not being interested in video games. He blushed when I joked and said word, and also got frustrated when he read Jason into me and I wasn't that interested. Then we finally sat and ate. He commented how his mother does it better, but he also ate pretty much everything. Then all of a sudden he stood up and said now we should kiss and cuddle. Of course not. I offered to wash the dishes. He didn't even help. I felt sorry for him the entire time. That's why I just didn't leave. I work retail and have for more than 25 years. I once, about 9 years ago, when I worked in a liquor store, had an older customer that would come in and, I thought, play flirt with me. A lot of customers play flirted with me, so I didn't think anything of it. Plus, this guy was, like, twice my age, and I was no spring chicken. I had no idea that he seriously thought we were really flirting. Until one day, he asked me out. Not in a regular way, mind you. Oh, no. He said, so, we've known each other for a while. Now, I'll just wait until you're off tonight, and then we can go out. I'll take you to expensive restaurant. I politely declined. He went ballistic. Long story short, the manager banned him from the store for life. Thank God. I have so many, but I just remember this one, so I'll go with it. I met this girl in a seminar I was attending. She was super nice, and I really liked her, so we became friends. It was her birthday a short time later, and her boyfriend at the time arranged a party bus as a surprise party. I wasn't drinking at the time, but I figured I'd go and hang out for a while. What could go wrong? Right when I got there, one of her guy friends decided he thought I was cute. That's fine. I mean, whatever. I had never met him before, so we exchanged names and the conversation pretty much stopped there. The bus gets there, we all get on, and people start getting progressively more drunk. That's fine. I like to party, and being around drunk people didn't bother me. Well, this one girl got really drunk and decided she wanted to go home with me. She came and sat by me and started to get a bit handsy, so I did the butt scooch migration slowly to the other side of the seat. Other guy from before sees this, comes and sits on the other side of me and halts my butt scooch migration. They start getting in a drunken argument over who gets to take me home. Mind you, I'm not going home with anybody, but try telling this to these two profoundly drunk people. Drunk girl figures out that if she tries to give me the world's drunkest lap dance, that drunk guy will get progressively more upset. I keep getting up and moving to different parts of this bus. Things were getting weird. We finally get back to the house, and it devolves into a drunken house party. I decide it's time for me to go. I go for one final bathroom trip, since it will be a long drive home. I keep getting stopped by random party goers on the way out telling me that drunk guy is very upset, and I should go talk to him. I look outside and drunk guy, whom I have spoken to for all of 30 seconds ever, is sitting on the sidewalk sobbing and all his friends are around him, trying to cheer him up. Apparently, some girl he is in love with doesn't love him back. I'm told it's me. I walk outside, crouch down and apologize that he's sad. I wish him a good night. He starts to cry again. I walk to my car and leave. That was a really weird night. Kept trying to hug me, like, every time he would see me. I'd never hug him back, yet he kept trying. I was a work study then, and he'd go to where I work just to see me. I'd be walking down the hallway with the professor, and they'd watch this guy 5x the size of me open his arms to hug me as I walked by him. IDK if it counts as nice guy, but it was really cringy. I went on a first date with a guy, casual date for coffee. It wasn't terrible, but it was obvious that we didn't really click that well. He did the typical nice guy stuff during the date where he talked about how he was different from other guys, knew how to treat a woman, some talking down on gym brothers, etc. I ended the date pretty quickly as I wasn't really feeling it and had just gotten off of midnight shift, so it was past my bedtime. He insisted on walking me to my car and opening the door for me. Fine, whatever. Then he hugged me, and when we went to break apart, he tried kissing me. I turned my face and he immediately got agitated, blocked me from entering my car and said, "What? No kiss." I'm a pretty easygoing and tolerant person, but that was the first time something like that had ever happened, and I immediately felt a slight bit of fear as the guy was blocking my car and was about 6'4", so much larger than me. I immediately put on my super serious face and said, "No, sorry, I really need to be getting home now," and luckily he moved. Took a bit of a break from dating after that. Ordinary guy here. Here's my reverse nice guy story. I get out of work. It's ducking cold outside. I stop and get a hot chocolate from a walk-up vendor. I'm vaguely aware that someone is in line behind me. I'm feeling charitable. I pay for two. Tell the guy I'm paying for the person behind me. Please tell them to pay it forward. Take my chocolate, pay, walk away and don't look back. Never even glanced at the person behind me. Walk to the corner and I hear "excuse me." I ignore it because it's a city and I don't respond to yelling. This woman rushes up and tells me that she's flattered I'd buy her a hot chocolate, but she really and truly could accept, and goes on about how she has a boyfriend. I say, "Just pay it forward." I start to cross the street walking away from her. She follows telling me how serious she is with her boyfriend and they are practically engaged, and how it would be weird for him if she tells him she let some guy buy her a drink. This actually went on for around a half block. Then I told her that she didn't have to drink her hot chocolate. Then I quickly ducked down the stairs to a subway station I didn't intend to ride, just to extricate myself from the situation. Now I just ignore everyone in the city like everyone else. I've chatted with guys, usually acquaintances at a party/bar/get together, who get angry and offended if they find out I'm not single or not looking to go home with them. Even if it's basic small talk, or we are chatting as a part of group, and there's zero flirting involved, you're treated like you're intentionally leading them on, or wasting their time when all you did was talk about work or the weather. Hey, you asked if I was interested, and I immediately set the story straight. Met a guy at college who seemed like a wayward out-of-towner that wasn't having any luck in the friend department. Word was he moved up from Cali. So we started working as semi-study buddies. He was taking courses for a different major, but they were courses I had done already. He knew I had a boyfriend, but decided one day to ask me to dinner. I specified as friends, and his response was something like sure, or it could be a date. The fact that I was in a long-term relationship didn't seem to make a difference to him, so I declined. After that my courses got switched to online courses, so I stopped seeing him as much, until he added me on Facebook and started trying to ask me out again. I finally told him no, that if he couldn't respect my current relationship enough to lay off the date attempts, that we didn't need to be friends. Then he went uber religious on me, started preaching at me constantly that he was terrified about my destiny of going to hell and wanted to save my soul so that didn't happen. Basically just admonishing every single decision I ever made as a person, and determined like no other to convince me that my sinful ways would undermine me in every way. Kept saying he didn't want to see his friend go through that. I told him forcing his religion down my throat was the surefire way of pushing me away permanently, and proceeded to block him. I gave him a lot of chances to understand that what he was doing wasn't cool, but he was so convinced that he was just being a nice guy. I was sitting at the bar by myself, and this guy in a fedora comes up to me, and we just start talking. He seems okay. We got into some casual conversation. Then he starts talking about how he thinks girls should be nice to him. If he does something nice for them, that is, open the door for them, or buy them a drink. I tried for a solid half hour to get him to understand that a girl was not going to fall head over heels for someone who thought that opening the door for them meant that they were a knight in shining armor. I tried very hard, but he just would keep talking over me. This actually just happened recently. My good friend from college and I, along with other friends from our program, went out to a bar to celebrate finishing our degree. He kept feeding me shots, but I figured everyone just wanted to be drunk and have a good time. The night is coming to an end, and I'm quite incapacitated. My good friend frantically approaches me saying that he had just seen a guy put something in my drink, which I had just finished. He told me that I would soon be unconscious, and it was best that he take me back to his apartment so he could take care of me. Being heavily drunk and also quite scared, I agreed, and he helped me back to his apartment. After making me something to eat and giving me some water, we set up camp for the night on his couch. He put on a movie, and he said he would sit and watch me sleep to make sure I didn't throw up or anything. As I started to doze off, he started touching me, first on my feet and knees, and then my upper thigh. I confronted him about it, and he said after everything he had done he felt he deserved compensation. I laughed it off, but after he tried to make a move again I got angry, and we began fighting. He exposed to me that no one had put anything in my drink, and it was all a ploy to allow him to make his move. After some more arguing he decided it was best I left, and he kicked me out of his apartment at 3 AM while I was still considerably drunk. This is someone whom I trusted and spent 4 years being friends with. Safe to say I'll be a lot more speculative with future male friends. I met a guy one night after a night out, exchanged numbers. He was handsome, seemed normal. We met for dinner, and I was surprised when he brought flowers and a bottle of wine, as it was our first date and we knew nothing about each other yet. Throughout dinner, I noticed that he would ask questions, but not listen to my answers. He seemed in his own world, as if he was preparing his next question. Very robotic. He mentioned that his sister was out of town, and he was house sitting for her in the building a few blocks away. Okay, even though he weirded me out a bit, I was young and still felt like things were going fairly well. Anyways, when we left, he was walking me to my car. I was wearing heels, and as such, Felt comfortable holding onto the crook of his arm for support as we walked. As we walked, he tried to persuade me to come into the apt building that he was supposedly house sitting. "We'll go up to the rooftop," he said. "Best view in Hollywood." Which was the clincher for me. BC, it was so corny and also so creepy. I kept saying no, I have to get up early, etc. When we got next to the building, he tightened his grip on me and said, "What's your problem?" His facade dropped and he looked scary and angry. "I bought you flowers, I brought wine, I paid for dinner," as if he was checking off ABC is supposed to equal D. Then we were having fun, weren't we? And was pulling me towards the door and twisting my arm. I pulled away from him and literally ran to my car and pulled off. I have no doubt he would have worse me if I hadn't. I know this is beyond nice guys, but the way he felt that he had systematically performed his steps and earned more from me, the horror stays with me. TL. Doctor first date with a normal seeming, handsome guy who seemed to think if he robotically went through the steps of a successful first date, that I owed him to be forced into an apt building, and got scary angry when I refused / I had to run.